Jessica Vistal and Sandy look identical. Identical. They're not the same person. Hello, my name is Liz Ashley and welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to be talking about the Ultimatum. I just watched the Ultimatum, talking about videos. If you want extra videos, join my membership. I have some exclusive videos on my memberships. I also have a shop, which this is on. It says, just know you'll taste me too. All right, so let's get into the Ultimatum. So this season is crazy. Not that they're not all crazy, but this season is like crazy. So before we get into the different couples, I just want to point out that when I saw the trailer for this season, I thought Jessica was in it. The one who I talked about in my other drama videos. Jessica what was she on? She was on Love is Blind, and then she was on another one too. So I was like, is she getting married? I thought she broke up with Harry. Like, what? And then I'm like, oh my God. That's like a different person. So Jessica Vistal and Sandy look identical. Identical. They're not the same person. It's really hard throughout to like separate them in my mind because I'm like, wow. Wow. Anyway, so let's start off with the couples. So there are 6 couples. So first we have Zaina and JR. Now, Zaina is ready to settle down. She's the one who issued the ultimatum. She wants kids. She's ready to settle down. Like, this is her goal. This is what she wants. JR is not wanting that right now. He was previously married, and so like later in the season, we get to see like why. And he talks about how he was a pastor's kid and he actually ended up marrying his high school sweetheart, and then they ended up cheating, and then they got a divorce. And so now I think his perception of marriage, he's just nervous. He doesn't really want to do that right now. He seems like a nice and well-meaning person. There's a lot to unpack within him. And something I do notice all the girls say to him is that like, you're so attractive. I didn't think you'd also be like emotional. And you can tell that like when they say that to him, that like really kind of messes with him. So I don't want to like cast that stereotype on him, because I do think that that's something that probably he's had to deal with a lot, and you can tell it just kind of like, you can tell like he's uncomfortable when people say that to him. They've been together for 3 years, and they're in their 30s. And so she's just really ready to like settle down, which is so funny because I'm about to turn 31 and like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I live by myself and I'm just like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, what? It's crazy. But Dana said that she's actually going to block him while they're on this experience. To me, the perception I get is that she's kind of done. I feel like she's done. I feel like she's just over it at this point. And like, he doesn't seem to really care that she's gonna be dating anyone else. He's not like jealous. I don't think that they're gonna stay together at all. So Sandy and Nick. So Nick is the one who served the ultimatum, and so Sandy is the one that looks just like Jessica. Like oh my gosh, it's kind of crazy how much they look alike. But Sandy is the one that looks like Jessica. Nick is 10 years older than Sandy. And so Nick is this artist, and I don't like, there's like one guy that I like in this whole season. Most of them I can't stand. Nick sucks. He's very like, he's an artist, and he's very like, art is my like, I don't know, like I feel like he thinks he's better than everyone else because he's an artist and because he's like a creative, and he feels the need to always like be like, well, I'm a creative, so I'm just so weird and wacky or whatever. People just don't understand me. Sometimes it's like it comes off more arrogant than it does like, I don't know. Like that's just the vibe that I get from him. He's ready to settle down. Sandy's not. Sandy is still going out. She's still in her 20s. Like,
I think my version of fun and her version of fun is a little different at this point. She's still Coachellaing, and
he's a lot older.
I'm stage coaching, basically.
I don't know if Nick and Sandy are going to stay together. I would say no. My first inkling is to say no because it gets so crazy. But I just don't know. I don't think Sandy's fully in it. She, like, when she first got there, like this, she was like, oh, JR. And that was like her, she was like lasered in on JR. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of her either. And I feel bad because I kind of judged Jessica when I was watching the other shows. And like in my other video, I'm like, she's actually really, she seems really great. Same with Francesca. I love her now. I think she's amazing. And I feel bad for judging her. I think it's this thing when like really pretty girls, I just get so like intimidated because they're so pretty. And I'm just like, but for Sandy, I think I have actual like legitimate reasons to be like, I don't know. That's my take on them. So the third couple is Mariah and Caleb. Mariah and Caleb. So Caleb is the one guy that I actually think is like decent. I think he seems like a nice person. He seems like a good person. So Mariah also seems really cool. She is very quiet, but she's so pretty. She's very beautiful. But she's really young. I think she's in her 20s. I think she may be like 24, and he is older than her. And they're 2 years in. She wants to get married. And so Mariah is the one issuing the ultimatum to Caleb. Caleb, even though he's older, he feels like Mariah is trying to rush into things. And this is kind of just like a checkbox on her list of things to kind of like do and get done, you know? Like she just got a really good job and all these other things. And he just like, he feels like this is just like a check on the list that she needs to finish. He wants her to go through this experience. Like he wants her to do what's best for her and not just kind of rush into this because he doesn't want them to get married and then be resentful. And at first, when I first heard him say that, I was kind of like, is that just like an excuse? But as you go on, I think he's actually correct. And I completely understand why he's saying the things he's saying, because Mariah is really great and she's really mature and she's very composed. And I mean, she seems like a really great person. She seems very emotionally intelligent and stable. And she went through a lot of trauma throughout her life. But I guess like she tends to over communicate, or she tends to like, if he's out of town, she'll be like, oh, well, where are you going? What are you doing? And he thinks that's more of like not trusting him or along those lines. I think they're the only couple that I think like could make it out of this together. Although I do like the person Caleb ends up with in his trial marriage. So we'll get to that. All right. So number 4 is Vanessa and Dave. And so Vanessa served the ultimatum, and it's actually kind of crazy. At first, I thought Dave was also kind of nice, but I changed my mind. Vanessa and Dave. So Vanessa, she's the one who issued the ultimatum. And it's kind of one of those relationships where, and she even says it, she's like, he was really into her at first, but she wasn't as into him. So it was like this whole thing about like, now she's like really all about him and really into him. And he's like, I don't know if I want to get married. In my notes, I just wrote really big lies because he said like, oh, marriage is like on the horizon. And I was like, okay.
Anytime I bring up marriage, it just seems like this taboo topic that we can't really talk about. It seems uncomfortable, and I just don't know why. He's expressed that he wants to get married, but the timeline is non-existent.
Marriage is for sure on the horizon, but I'm not in a huge rush. It's just a slow decision-making process.
It was just like really stupid because it was like, okay, well that sounds like a bad excuse. Like, what are you saying? I mean, it's on the horizon, just not right now. And it's like, okay. What? Yeah, okay. And I think, I also put, okay, maybe I didn't think Dave was nice in the beginning. I was like, because I also said, she needs to leave. He does not want to be with. Oh my God, that's actually really funny compared to like how things turn out. Oh my God, that's so funny. And it's funny because he was already talking about Mariah. So like he was already looking at Mariah when he got there. She just feels like she can't talk about marriage to him. She can't talk about anything like that to him. All right. So Arya and Scotty. Now, if there is one person that I hate the most in this show, it is Scotty. Scotty is the one who served the ultimatum to Arya, and right now they're actually long distance. So Arya's in San Francisco, he's in LA. And I don't think they're gonna stay together at all. I think Scotty's kind of done because I don't think he wants to be in San Francisco. I don't think he wants to move to San Francisco because his family's in LA. And so she's worried. She's like, oh, you just want to do this so you can find someone else in LA. And he's like, no, like I want to get married to you. But like she doesn't really want to get married. She doesn't really want to have kids right now. He's very ready. He wants to do it now. Like that's his thing. And she's like, well, I'm in San Francisco. I'm trying to like live my life, do my job. Like I want to do what's best for me. And basically she has this relationship with men where her whole life, I guess her dad told her mom what to do and her mom listened, and I don't think they're together anymore. And she just had this really bad perception of relationships, which I can understand. I grew up in an environment where my parents were not very nice to each other. And so I guess I have a different look on relationships, and it takes a lot to unlearn a lot of those things. I do, however, I do think that she has some reason to fight back against him because he doesn't want her. Like he wants her to move back to LA, and like he wants her to not like, you know, to compromise her career and what she wants to do with her life to be with him. And like she's not willing to do that. And I think that's why he put her on the ultimatum.
I'm like peak of my career right now, and I just feel like if I were to do that, it'd be me moving and me having to do a lot of sacrificing to make him happy.
And I'm like, you guys just need to break up. And I really like Arya. I think she's great, and I think it's good for her. And I think she should be standing up to him because there are moments later on we're gonna talk about where I'm like, he's not a good person. He's not a good guy, and like you can kind of tell that. And so I don't think she should be with them. I don't think they're gonna stay together. I love her, and I think she's great, and I think she deserves so much better. And that's my opinion. So the last couple is Chanel and Micah. So Chanel is the one who gave the ultimatum, and I put nope, no. I put like nope on here. Like, no, I don't think they're gonna stay together. So Micah is a very like planned out person. He's very like type A personality. There's actually a really funny like moment later on where you can really see it. But Micah is very much type A. He likes to plan. He likes to, have plans to do things. He really wants to be financially stable, like enough for kids. All right. So those are all the couples. And then, Nick and Vanessa are talking, and honestly, they're so cringe. They're providing the rings. So you can take a ring with you for the trial marriage. You can also take a ring with you for, the marriage with your person, or the trial marriage with your person as well. So I initially thought that none of the only couple that maybe would stay together would be like Mariah and Caleb, maybe Sandy and Nick out of like codependency. I was wrong. But anyway, we're gonna get to the crazy part. First, they go into like speed dating and meeting other people and dating other people, and there are some initial connections for a lot of people, and you can kind of tell where it's going. So Nick and Vanessa, which is really funny because Nick and Vanessa are the hosts, but Nick and Vanessa end up kind of hitting it off, and you can tell that Vanessa is like very much into Nick, and she like always wants to be around, trying to always be talking to him, right? And Dave, her former partner, at one point gets like really upset, and like Nick goes to get something or goes to the bathroom or something, and Dave kind of is like, hey, like I know what I want. And I got worried for a second. I'm like, is he going to literally like propose right now? Because if so, that's too much. That's too cringy. Like, don't. No, he just goes up to her and he's just like, I know what I want now. And it's funny because it's like it seems to be a theme with like people in the Ultimatum or just like these shows where like I guess they're so focused on like, I'm going to be dating other people, I'm going to be seeing other people, that they don't realize that like their partner is also going to be seeing other people. And so when they see that happening in front of them, they just like freak out. And that's kind of what Dave did. And I think Dave didn't realize what he had until that point, until she was attracted to someone else and could be with someone else. And he's just like, I know what I want. You're what I want. I just wanted to let you know that. And Nick's like, okay. He comes back and he's like, all right. Arya also confronts Scotty because Scotty and Zaina, they start they hit it off really off the bat because she knows what she wants. He knows what he wants. They both want to get married. They both want to have a family and they want to do it relatively soon. And they're just like very determined to do that. And so Arya gets really upset because she's like, you're like holding this girl's hand, like right in front of me. Like, how could you do this? That's disrespectful. And the way he talked to her was like my first red flag. That was like my first like, okay. Like I can see what's going on right now type of deal where like he started like raising his voice at her. So after that, I thought Zaynab maybe like would kind of step back from Scotty or maybe have like a little bit of like like, I don't know. But no, she like her and Scotty were like one of the first couples to talk about like them being in a trial marriage together. So Zaynab and Scotty, I knew were going to do the trial marriage together. And Dave is like upset about like everything going on. And at first you think it's going to be like Dave and Chanel, and then you think it might be Dave and Arya. Dave really likes Arya. But Arya, I don't think is that into him. Arya kind of talked with Dave and Caleb and JR. Sandy, of course, was on JR. Sandy was on JR like as soon as it happened. Like Sandy wanted to be with JR. That was her thing. But then they turned it into like this little love triangle between JR, Arya, and Sandy. Nick was worried about JR picking Sandy because Nick thought that JR was just in this as like a hall pass. I don't know. He's very touchy-feely with her. And I just get this vibe that like I don't know. JR and Sandy definitely hit it off, and they're definitely going to be like the trial marriage. I don't know. I feel like Dave was kind of like going aimless. I feel like Dave and Caleb were like the two guys that were kind of like a little aimless. All right. So the first new couple is Zaynab and Scotty. Like I said, they're the first ones to kind of talk about it. So Micah and Mariah are the second couple. Dave and Chanel are the third couple. JR and Sandy are the fourth couple. And so he does end up picking Sandy. It's like this whole thing. Nick and Vanessa are a couple, and it's funny because when Nick and Vanessa have to say it, it's like this whole thing. They have to be like Nick and Vanessa. That's weird and it's cringy. And then Arya and Caleb. All right. So the first night of this, I feel like shows a lot of like how things are going to work out throughout this. So the first night, like JR and Sandy, I feel like are very much in this. They're already all over each other. Like, we already knew what this was going to be with them. And Zaynab and Scotty, I think they do very well. They do well together. Like, she's like, oh, my trial husband. Like, she's very committed. She's very into this. She said that she blocked JR. I don't know. She said she blocked him. Now, I have some suspicions, but not in a bad way. But I have some suspicions. But anyway. But they seem like they're doing good. They definitely like sleep in the same bed the same night and stuff like that, but they're not as like touchy-feely as like Sandy and JR, but you can tell that like they're in this, they're committed. Micah and Mariah. So this is the part where it's really funny, and you can like tell, like I think Micah is in like a state of panic almost, because during the dinner when they were picking everyone and Dave picked Chanel, Micah was like, you have to keep her safe. Like, you have to keep her safe. Just promise me you'll keep her safe. She's my best friend. I don't know what I would do without her. Now, I didn't like that outburst. I don't like that outburst just because like I have been with someone who is kind of like that, where it was like they didn't want to commit. They wanted to go out and do their own thing. So I was like, well, I want to keep you safe. Like, I want to keep you safe, or you're my best friend, or I just want to make sure you're safe. Like, I got to protect you or whatever. And it's like, but you're the one hurting me. I don't know. It's a very like, I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way when he said that, but he did say that to Dave, and that comes in handy soon. And something else that we noticed is that Micah and Dave were actually friends, and then Chanel and Vanessa were friends. And so that's also something just to keep in mind. But Micah's like, okay, well, what time do you want to get up? What time should we go to bed? What time, blah, blah, blah. And then Mariah's like, sure, yeah, okay. I feel so bad for Mariah because she is 24. And so I do feel like she's like kind of young, and she's just kind of like, sure, yeah, okay, like, and I feel bad for her because, like, you could tell he's just, like, in a state of shock because, like, he's not with Chanel, but then, like, he also, like, I don't know, you could just tell this is, like, not something, you could tell it's, like, a little awkward with them. Dave and Chanel, yeah, I mean, they just seem like friends. Like, it really, like, they just seem like friends. Like, that's about it. And then Nick and Vanessa. So Nick and Vanessa, like, at first they seem very like okay, like they seem very into each other and all this, but slowly but surely you can tell that Nick is like very insecure about his relationship with Sandy, and that like that is like all he can talk about, that's all he can think about is like Sandy being with JR. And I think he's really intimidated by JR, and so I think he's just in a bad space mentally, and like you can tell Vanessa is a little hurt.
Oh my fucking God.
And then Arya and Caleb. So Arya and Caleb are actually my favorite trial couple. I love them. And I think Caleb is decent. I have a little bit of a problem with him at the end of this. But I do really love Arya and Caleb. It does start out as like a very much friendship, and because JR didn't pick Arya, Caleb was kind of like the other person she would pick. So it did kind of just like it was kind of like default, like they're just friends at first, but it turns into something I think really sweet. So what's really crazy is that like this happens, and like I think it's like the first or second night Chanel and Micah meet up at like 3 a.m. Mariah doesn't realize what's going on. I don't think she realized it, but Dave did. And Dave was like, oh, just be careful. I got to keep you safe. And it was really cringy. And and so because Vanessa and Chanel were friends, I believe, and because Dave and Micah were friends, I believe, they both all four of them packed up their stuff and left. So that left Nick alone, and then it also left Mariah alone. Now, I think it's crazy that they left. I don't think either of those relationships are going to last, and if they do, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Dave. One, because he told Vanessa to stop like bodybuilding. She wanted to do it and he told her to stop. And so she did because he told her to, and I didn't like that at all. I don't know. Micah and Chanel might be okay. You could tell he was really upset, and you could tell it was kind of sinking in. I think they all kind of panicked. I think Dave and Micah panicked. And I don't think Vanessa was super like into Nick after he was like getting upset over Sandy. And then I think Chanel wasn't into Dave or like anyone else. And so they left. Mariah takes it really well. I think her being alone is actually more helpful for her, because I think one of the things that Caleb was worried about is like codependency because she's so young. And I think that this helped. I think this definitely is how you grow and not to be codependent. It helped me. Like, I live alone. I've been single for a very long time now. And like, I used to be a very codependent person, but now I'm like not, almost on the opposite side of it now, which is also a problem. But Nick is freaking out, man. Nick is freaking out. I get it. I don't blame him. I have been, like I said, codependency. I have been in those relationships where the other person is probably doing something. And I understand, because they're out here flirting. They're out here in the pool. They're out here having dates. And obviously they all live in the same freaking apartment complex because they're all seeing each other out. They have little activities that they have, like Mariah and Nick do, because they're alone. I also think Nick needs to be alone. I think Nick needs, even though he's older and he's like, I want to settle down, he thinks he's more mature. Like, I think he has a lot of emotional stuff that he needs to figure out, and I think this shows it. I think, and from someone who's been there and has been in that kind of headspace and relationship, like, I think he has some things he needs to figure out emotionally before he tries to like settle down with someone. And it's funny because like Mariah picks up on that, and it's great. But Mariah is like really trying to help him and like really trying to like help him realize, this could be time for you to like learn and grow and stuff like that. And that's what she's doing. So Caleb and Arya, they actually they are like the sweetest relationship. They are so cute. They're like just friends, but they're so comfortable around each other that it eventually starts getting more feelings and more like romantic. And they definitely, like, at the end of it, do have feelings for each other. And you can tell Caleb is like very conflicted about it. You can tell he's very conflicted because you can tell that he wants to be loyal to Mariah, and he says that he's like, I'm a loyal person, I will be loyal to Mariah. But you can also tell that he does feel what Arya is feeling and what he is feeling. He just doesn't, I don't think he wants to admit it. I think he's very conflicted. Scotty and Zaina, they do really well. Like, everything is actually going really well. Like, they play basketball together. They get along very well. Like, he met her family and, you know, they liked him, but her sister still really likes JR. And they're kind of confused because, you know, Scotty and Zaina are kind of like very gung-ho about it and are like, oh no, we feel a lot about each other and like it's really great and blah blah blah. And they're like, yeah, I mean, it's only been a few days. She did say that she was going to leave there either with someone else or single. So, like I said, I don't think her and JR are going to end up together at all. I'm curious how their trial marriage is going to be. It seems like it might be awkward. But the reason I don't like Scotty is because one big red flag I saw from him is they're talking about things to do. And he's like, let's go on a hot air balloon. And she's like, I don't want to go on a hot air balloon. Like, that's terrifying, which I can relate. Anyone else remember the Amanda Bynes show where she was on the air balloon? And she got lost. Yeah, ever since then, no thank you. I'm not gonna get on a hot air balloon. Not happening. Not happening. So he got a little like upset about that. And he's like, okay, well, what about cryotherapy? And she's like, I don't like the cold. And he got mad at her. And he's like, well, I guess you just don't want to do anything fun. And I'm like, what? What? Like, what? And she had the same reaction and she was like, what do you mean? Like, I said no to 2 things. And he's like, well, I guess I just don't like rejection. I just don't take rejection very well. And she's like, you thought that was rejection? And he was like, yeah, you rejected my ideas. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Scotty does end up saying that, like, he's like, I was just validated a lot as a child, so I guess I'm just like rejection. I'm like, rejection hurts me or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, like, it's very obvious you were validated a lot as a child. It's very obvious as a person who literally like was constantly like nitpicked on their weight and what they ate and like my nail polish, my hair color, all kinds of things by a parent. Like, it's obvious to someone. It's obvious that you were validated a lot. It's obvious. So so that was my big red flag with Scotty. Now let's move to Sandy and JR. So Sandy and JR, you know, they're wild, and they literally are wild. Like, they are constantly just like touching each other. They're very much on top of each other. Like, when they went to go meet the family, like, I keep wanting to call her Jessica. Sandy's family really liked JR. They obviously didn't like Nick very much. They don't think he pulls his weight in the relationship, and they like JR a lot. But it's kind of weird because like he has his hand like on her thigh this whole time, and it's like, you know, you can tell that he, like, I think he actually might want this with Sandy, or he's just pretending. I can't quite put my finger on it. But you can tell Sandy's a little hesitant.
I think it was like love at first sight. I appreciate about her.
I think she's going along with it, and I think she is trying to like open up like to him as well. They had this little picnic and she's opening up a little, but like you can tell that it's just she's not reciprocating like as much. But the way they talk is like, oh yeah, we've really like opened up, we've really gotten close, like blah blah blah. But I don't know how I don't know. But one night Nick actually comes up and like is like banging on their door, and he keeps like calling Sandy, and she's like, okay, I can't answer, I'm not doing this. And JR opens the door and he's like, you need to leave, and like slams the door in his face. And you know, he's like, I just want to talk to Sandy. And she ends up blocking him that night. And so this is right before they go to the girls' night and like the guys' night. So Very awkward, very awkward guys night. But Nick, to his credit, does come in and like apologize to JR and is like, hey, look, I'm so sorry. Like, I shouldn't have done that. That was out of line. And JR's, very like standoffish. He's like, that was embarrassing for you, which I mean, it was, but like, I don't know. I just feel like JR's just like very standoffish.
Sorry? Huh? I'm very sorry.
I lost all respect for you after that.
Okay, so the one criticism I had of Caleb is right before the girls' night, Aria wants to talk to Caleb about what to say to Mariah because she's like, I would say that we're just friends, but I feel like recently they've developed feelings for each other. They have been a little bit more touchy. They held each other's hands. They've talked about more intimate things. They had like this whole cute little spa day, which was adorable. And, she's like, but I think it's more than that now. And I think, you can agree, right? And he's just kind of like, let me tell her that. Like, I want to talk to her about that. I don't want it to come from someone else. So like, let's not, say anything. You could tell Arya was hurt, and I would be hurt if I was Arya, because it's just kind of like, okay, well, you've been like the perfect gentleman, like one of the nicest people, treats her so well, gets her these gifts, like did the whole spa day, just like very much treats her very well. And he keeps like saying like his number one priority is to like show Arya, also to show Mariah that like, I can be respectful. I'm a respectful person, and like to show you what you deserve, which is why I like Caleb. But that one part kind of got me a little, because I was kind of like, like he doesn't, not that he doesn't want to be honest with Mariah, but that he's not like, I can tell he's conflicted about his feelings for Mariah and Arya. And I think he just doesn't, I don't know. He holds a lot to his chest. He's like, emotionally open with Arya, but like to everyone else, he's very like, he holds it very close to his chest. Scotty gets mad at Caleb because Caleb's like, well, we're really good friends, and like that's it. If there's anything else, Arya can tell you. Well, I wanted to have the full experience. Like you're not giving her the full experience, and it's like he treated her really well. Like I think they're fine. And like, he's just like going off on him for like no reason. And then him and JR get into it. Okay, here's the part where I think that Zaina might be talking to JR. So apparently JR overheard that Scotty said that JR is just here for a hall pass. Him and Nick think that, right?
Going around saying that I was only here for a hall pass.
What could possess me to be like, JR's here for a hall pass?
You tell me.
So Scotty is like, I never said that. Like, I don't know where you're hearing that. Did Zaina say that to you? And he's like, no, I'm not. Like, he's like, no, I just overheard it. And he's like, well, I never said that. First of all, I don't believe Scotty. Second of all, I think maybe she did block him and they still like maybe ran into each other or something. Because I swear to God, JR and Zaina have been communicating. I still don't think they're going to end up together, but I do think they have been communicating for that reason. And then another one I'm going to say. But the guys' one was really just like messy. The guys' night was messy and crazy. It was more messy than the girls' night, honestly. Like the girls' night was pretty tame. Mariah talks to Sandy about how she just comes out and says, I don't think he'd make a good husband. She's like, I'm just being honest. And you could tell Sandy knows that. And she's like aware of that. But she's like, she's also mad that he just like, stormed into their apartment. And so there's a lot going on at once. But Mariah's just honest. She's like, I just don't think he would be a good husband, which I don't think he would be either. And I really like Mariah because you see a lot more emotion from her. You see a lot more from her in this girls' night. And so I really appreciate that because I think before we didn't. Sandy talks to Zaina, and this is the other reason why I think they're talking, because Sandy goes into this, and this is why I also don't like Sandy, and I feel validated for not liking her. She goes into this and she goes, like, it's not like that between me and JR. Like, we haven't hooked up. Like, I'm just trying to make him a better man for you. Like, she literally says that, and I'm sitting here like, what? What? Like, was I hallucinating all of the scenes between you and JR? Was I hallucinating? Like, what are you saying right now? Like, this is not, no. And you could tell, like, the look in Zaina's eye, you could just, like, tell that she knew that she was lying. It was almost like she was mad, but like you could tell that she knew that she was lying, right? And so that's why I think they still probably talked, because I think Zaina could see right through Sandy's bullshit. Like she saw right through it. And then Arya and Mariah talk, and Arya does end up telling her, like, you know, we started off as a friendship, but he's a really great guy, and like I do have feelings for him. And you could tell this affects Mariah, but she's very mature about it, and she's like, you know, I brought us here for a reason, and if I'm not fulfilling something for him emotionally, then like, you know, then we're not meant to be. And she's very mature. Like I actually really like Mariah. And I think she's very mature, and I think she's going to do great. I think her and Caleb could be good together. I also think Caleb and Arya are really cute. I think these trial marriages with their original partners are going to be messy as hell. Like the whole JR and Zaina and then Nick and Sandy situation is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I think Scotty and Arya are just not even, like, I don't know how that's going to work. That's going to be insane, because I think Arya's done. I think now that Arya has seen how she could be treated by someone, I think Arya's done. Mariah and Caleb, I think this may be a good place for them maybe to figure out if they do still want to be together. The next episodes are going to be crazy. I'm going to keep up with it. So keep watching, like, and subscribe if you liked this video. It's definitely a longer video. Tell me what you think below. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.